Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm TeeHee. I did some treasure hunting this morning, and so I'm gonna report to you about it. Watched 5 total shows today. I believe 3 of them are returners that I'm watching episode 2 of, and 2 of them are brand new things. So let's start, and we'll just go through in the order that I watched them as I have been doing previously. As usual, you can find links to the show's reaction things in the description, and timestamps as well. I'll make sure I actually do those this time. I didn't last time I did it because it got really late. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. 5 shows. So I started off today with a show that I actually missed from yesterday. I just wasn't aware that it had aired. Given, episode 1. So, Given, glancing at this, it's a lech show. They're currently making Kanata no Astra, which is pretty enjoyable. I've been having a good time with it so far. And this is music, drama, romance, shonen ai. So this is a boys love show. If you're not into boys loving boys, you're not going to be into this. Give it a pass. If you're totally cool with boys loving boys, or it's your jam, this is probably going to be your jam. As somebody who's not particularly into or against necessarily boys love, but it's not something that I seek out or like frequently watch. I found this pretty okay. It was all right. Which means that for those people who are seriously invested in boys love and shonen ai stuff, this will probably be a godsend, and because you don't get that many of these kinds of shows that often as seasonals. So good, enjoy, have fun. I don't think the show is for me. It looks okay. The production's all right. And I'm going to title this show with the nickname Gaon, because that's basically the feeling that I got coming out of this first episode. The setup is very reminiscent of K-On! There's a music club, and there's a guy, and he wants to join it, and so he does. He's kind of a blank slate for this sort of uke type character. Very blank slate. And then the guy he meets, who's actually already invested in the band and the music and stuff, and a much better guitarist than he is, and all that stuff, is very reminiscent of the. Let's just look up the name, because I'm gonna hate myself for not remembering this. Kageyama, yeah. He's basically Kageyama. He focused so much on becoming really good at guitar that he pushed a bunch of people away and is more of a loner now, but he's still got a couple of friends who he jams out with in band stuff, and they're pretty good. Music in the show was really great, just like soundtrack music. There's also diegetic music that they do play in the show in their band, which is pretty solid and good, I guess. I'm not terribly musically literate, but I like what I like, and it was pretty good. But the thing that struck me was the OST, the soundtrack music throughout the show, is actually sort of related to the music that they're playing. So very guitar heavy soundtrack, just in general. Pretty cool. I quite liked it. Shot composition was sometimes kind of interesting. The flow of shots was pretty solid, and I believe that this is, this is directed by one Hikaru Yamaguchi, who has only directed a 2-episode OVA before, so this is his directorial debut, and frankly, it was really competent, like, surprisingly competent for a directorial debut. Entirely watchable, pretty good. Subject matter is not for me, though. But if it's for you, then this will definitely be for you. If you're into this kind of subject matter, you're going to love this show. If you're not into this kind of subject matter, it's just going to kind of bounce off of you and be ignored. I'm closer to the gonna just ignore it than the loving it side. It does feel very, very K-On-y, and that's why I'm calling it Gaon, because, well, it's like 4 boys in a club, and they play music, but it's more than that. It's more than just the surface level premisey stuff that sounds K-On-esque. A lot of the shots and just the flow of the episode feels similarly K-On-y. I mean, our intro sequence, our opening sequence, is almost shot for shot the same as the opening sequence of K-On! Season 1, where we follow Yui as she wakes up and heads out the door to school and stuff. Except in this case, we follow Boy, who is just like, he's there, he exists, and the purpose of the scene and the emotion and the atmosphere that it builds is very different, but in terms of actual fundamentals, what is there, it's very similar. Really an interesting experience to watch this and just be like, hey, that's very much like K-On! Okay, interesting. But that said, nothing really like reached out super hard and grabbed me and pulled me into this show. It's okay. If you like this kind of stuff, it's going to be a lot better than okay for you. Okay? Okay. Also, the CG instruments were fine, but I don't love the aesthetic of them. I much prefer 2D hand-drawn stuff, but they had the characters like moving around, carrying their instruments and stuff, so it made sense to make them in CG in the same way that it made sense for Carole and Tuesday for Tuesday's guitar to be CG. It just made sense. But still, meh. If you like Shounen, you're gonna love this. If you don't like Shounen, give it a pass. That's about it. Okay, I've blathered for way too long about not much about this show. So those are my thoughts on Given. Let's move along. So the second thing that I watched, and I watched Given before it because it hadn't quite aired yet, was Fire Force episode 2, and it continues to be pretty solid. Episode 1 was like a knockout, super duper slam dunk home run Sakuga fest. Episode 2, not so much. Much slower, much more dialogue driven, much more character focused, and that was fine. I think we needed that. We got a little bit of character building and depth on some other characters. We were introduced to a new character, this blonde guy who calls himself the King of Knights and seems to be a sort of a foil or a rival character for our main boy. Also a third generation pyrokinetic guy, and he basically has a lightsaber, and it's pretty badass. There's some fighting, some like settling into the way of things in this fire squad, and there has been a hint of real hype. There seems to be a tournament arc coming up, something like the rookie something or other. All of the rookie Fire Force people are gonna fight each other to see how strong they are in a big old tournament type thing. Yes. So hype for that. We killed another infernal. I almost called them incarnates. Killed another infernal this episode. It was pretty dope. And we were also we got a hinty reveal at a creepy evil dude with very little like else to him yet, but he seems to be doing stuff behind the scenes and potentially a big overarching villain. I don't know. And he like blew some smoke rings and they turned into some wispy letters that I think spelled out Joker. And then later he says a line where he's like, "It's all just a joke." So I'm gonna call him Joker for now. I think that he's the Joker, and he's doing fiery stuff with a little vial of gunpowder that's evil and bad. Can't wait to get more information on that, see where it goes, maybe fight him. Who knows? All in all, Fire Force continued to hit its bar, although it did not hit the bar that it set in the previous episode, because that was a first episode, super front-loaded Sakuga Fest, right? This makes sense from a marketing perspective. You get people in with the first episode, you can do a lot, you got a lot more wiggle room as the episodes move along to figure out where you want to put your budget and your Sakuga and all that stuff. And this episode didn't have a ton of it. It had some great looking stuff, and everything else was at least competent or better. So good job. Fire Force continues to be pretty good. That's about it for Fire Force. It good. Make watch. Yes. Third thing that I watched was another new show. This is Okasan Online, or Do You Like Your Mom? Her normal attack is 2 attacks at full power. Okasan Online. This is an overpowered momsekai, and if that doesn't make sense to you, boy gets isekai'd and his mom comes along with. So things to talk about this show. It was less generic than I expected. It was also a lot more fun than I expected. It was also paced a lot better than I expected. The comedic moments were funnier than I expected. The heartfelt moments actually touched me more than I expected. All in all, this show was a lot better than I expected, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. How many times can I say more than I expected in one sentence-ish? In any case, this show's surprisingly good. I won't call it good, but I'll call it better than expected. Okay. Just hedging my bets a little bit. This is a JC staff show. I was worried that they're going to be overstretched this season because they're doing a ton of stuff this season, but the shows that I've seen from them so far have not been looking like they're being affected by that too much, so that's good. There's some interesting wrinkles to this isekai. It seems to have been done intentionally as a beta test by the people who are making the game that they get isekai'd into, and it seems that the game is intended to get young teenage boys and their moms to be closer, like to improve their relationships, which is pretty cool. And in that sense, it does sort of a meta thing with what the show is doing itself, which is showing a teenage boy who doesn't super get along with his mom. I mean, they get along, but they're not close. They're not super close, and he's sort of like at that stage of being a teenager where he doesn't want to get hugged by his mom, or like he finds her embarrassing, right? I think that every teenage boy has gone through this. I've gone through this. That stage where if your mom gives you a hug in like before taking you to school, you'd be like, Mom, no, not in front of my friends. That's basically where this guy is at right now. And so he gets offered the chance to be isekaiified, and he's like, sure, great, let's do it. I get to be a superhero, let's go. And he gets isekai'd, but there's a wrinkle. His mom shows up. Also, she's super overpowered, and he's just average. So what we end up with is generic dude bro in isekai and hot fucking mom. I gotta be real about this. I think the mom is super attractive. Like, ooh, yeah. I think she's really attractive. I think they did a great job with her character design, and it's nice. She is well endowed. Okay, she's well endowed. Can't beat around this. There's some weird undercurrent of like incestuous mom son love in this show. Even in this episode 1, it kind of weirds me out a little bit, and it's not helped by the fact that I find the mom attractive. It's almost hurt by that because it makes me feel really strange. I'm not sure that I like it, but I might watch episode 2 just because it was kind of fun and cute and funny. She makes these like pouty faces and they're super cute. She's really cute. That's the main appeal of the show, I think. The mom is super cute. Like, oh, and somebody in my Discord sent me an image of like the figurines that they're already selling of the mom. They're busty because of course they are. The people making this show know where the money is. Yeah, they're gonna sell a lot of big titty isekai MILF figurines. This show's gonna sell a lot of merch, which means it's gonna be a success, which is good. And the show's okay. So, all right. I had fun watching it. I don't begrudge it almost any of the stuff that it did, except for the weird incestuous mom-son stuff that's kind of there. And it is there, like, explicitly there, and it's kind of weird. Alright, let's move on. So Okasan Online gets a tentative pretty okay from me. The next show that I watched is another returner. Actually, both of the next ones are returners. Next one was Araburu, or Maidens of the Savage Season. This is the more serious take on sex. And this second episode was about as good as the first one. And that's a good thing. The first one was really great, and this one is really great. It continues to do pretty much the same thing, to deepen all of the characters, put them in really awkward and interesting situations, and do some other interesting stuff. So some epiphanies, some revelations, some sneaky stuff, some just cool moments, and again, just as before, really stellar design work. The general aesthetic of the show has grown on me. All of the girls are so cute. The girl with the white hair, whose name just escaped me, is like, oh, so cute. Really fun, really funny. This show is really good, and I've been seeing people commenting on previous episodes like, wow, this is already my show of the season. And I'm not surprised. Honestly, this could be a real contender for a show of the season, because it's taking itself seriously and not stumbling yet. Is pretty good. I would say watch this show. Give it a shot. I'm going to keep shilling it until I feel like stopping shilling it. But it's continued to be really solid, and I think you might like it. So give it a shot. The final thing that I watched today was Granbelm, aka Magical Girl Stand Mecha Isekai Battle Royale. Maybe not an isekai. It's not really an isekai. Kind of is. Sort of. The second episode I don't think was as strong as the first one, and part of that is like similar to what happened with Fire Force, where it's sort of front-loaded with action and grabby grabs and hooks, where the second episode takes a step back, does a little bit of an exposition dump, and a lot of dialogue-driven stuff, a lot of character stuff, all of it cute and interesting, and I enjoyed this episode, maybe even more than the first one, just because some of the subject matter that the characters talk about is actually interesting. Like, interesting dialogue. I also found all the dialogue, like, it flowed pretty well and was pretty well written. The direction and shot composition, aesthetic, design, color is all pretty solid, like surprisingly good. And the story is intriguing. I like this show. I surprisingly like it a lot. And it continued to be really intriguing this episode. There were some interesting cliffhangers. I won't spoil anything just in case you want to go and watch it. But we're delving more into what it means to be magical, the potential drawbacks of being a magical girl, and we're hinting toward a possible Madoka-esque episode 3, where things get real crazy, and maybe some of those consequences of being a magical girl, isekai stan mecha battle royale battler, will become more apparent and more serious. Lots of ominous foreshadowing in this episode. All in all, pretty interesting, kept my attention, and I will watch the next episode because Grenbelm continues to be good. Yeah. So those are the 5 shows that I watched today. I watched Given, Fire Force, Okasan Online, Araburu, and Granbelm. Of them, I think the only one that's an insta-drop for me is Given, and not because it's bad or anything, it just doesn't resonate with me in particular super well. I'm a straight boy who's not into boys' love. Sorry. If you are into boys' love, you're gonna love this show. Give it a shot. Fire Force continued to be good. Okasan Online was good enough. Araburu continues to be good, and Grenbelm continues to be interesting and weird and a strange clusterfuck of ideas that I can't wait to see more of. So those are the shows that I watched. Pretty much all of them are pretty good. We have a crazy Friday. I'm gonna have to drop some of these. I don't know which. I think the 2 strongest shows of the day of Friday are Fire Force and Araburu, and that includes Dr. Stone. I think those are the 2 strongest shows of the day. We'll see what happens with Granbelm moving forward. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that moving forward. I think Araburu is going to make a case for itself as a potential anime of the season. We'll see. We'll see. In any case, I think I'm going to wrap it up. So, I've been TeeHee. This has been my report for week 2 Friday. I hope you've enjoyed all these shows, and if you haven't seen some of them, I hope you'll go and check them out. Especially Araburu. Granbelm is worthwhile as well. Fire Force, I assume you've already seen some of, so yeah. Anyway, this has been fun. I'll see you tomorrow if there's more stuff airing tomorrow. Peace.